Hi, as you know, work from home is taking new shape and level since COVID-19 pandemic. Many corporates are adopting the work from home culture and huge transformation has not only been executed in workplace but also in the procurement and supply chain. That was improbable in January 2020, but now new technologies and innovations are the foremost priority for every organization, and most likely this will happen in procurement and supply chain function. So we have two guest speaker from IT background procurement, Mr. Praveen and Mr. Salesh, who is going to share his holistic view on procurement automation. And if you will stay into the very end of this session, you will get to know that how much automation in procurement function is important and what steps we as procurement person should take from now onwards. So stay tuned and welcome to this series of knowledge sharing session in procurement Vale. My name is Montu Verma and I am a procurement expert. Dear friends, thank you so much for being with us today, and I hope you all are safe and sound with your family members and with your colleagues also. Guys, today once again it is Sunday 2 p.m. and we as Procurement Wale are continuing our knowledge sharing journey with all of you. And this is our 14th episode. Dear friends, since all of you are aware that our mission is to get all procurement professional on such platform wherein we all can share our thoughts, our ideas, our insight to empowering the procurement community and also can support each other for our professional career growth. Dear friends, before we start this session, please let me know in chat box that from where or from which city you are joining us. आप लोग कहाँ से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में बताइए. Okay, Vinay from Bangalore, Rajendra from Mumbai. Okay, Rajendra. Good afternoon, Rajendra. Great. Currently, we also have procurement Wale WhatsApp group wherein we share our dilemmas and get solution from experts. If you want to be member of our procurement Wale WhatsApp group, you can directly approach me on my WhatsApp number. It is 88000428 184. Super. My dear friends, I am super excited now to move forward to start this webinar. So now we are very familiar with our style of working, which is work from home, and it is taking new shape and new level since COVID-19 pandemic. Many corporates are adopting the work from home culture, and huge transformation has not only been executed in workplace but also in the procurement and supply chain. That was improbable in January 2020, but now new technologies and innovations are foremost priority for every organization. Yep. And most likely, this will happen in procurement and supply chain. Moreover, as you know, competition always exists in market to gain a cutting edge. Companies always kept inventing and kept challenging their status quo for every organization to offer faster and faster and better than ever delighting experience to their customers. I hope everyone agrees that a company needs a trust and efficient supply chain procurement function. To understand the huge chunk of data in graphical form was always in practice. And now the trend is not just about creating the graphs, it is about automating the decision making systems so that everybody can save their time and energy and focus on other procurement or productive work. We are also familiar with procurement practices with which involves floating the inquiry like follow-ups for quotes, Excel comparison, negotiation, approvals mechanism, PR to PO, material delivery, follow-ups, GRN and payment as well. If all these manual things are automated and everything would happens at one click, won't it make things simpler? Don't you think so? Efficient and intelligent system for companies. Yep. I'm sure that everyone hearing about intelligent procurement, which is replacing the traditional procurement tools. So, friends, today we have industry expert with us to talk about how should we actually understand automation project in our procurement function or in our current organization. It is my immense pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker. Firstly, we have Mr. Saleh Sonar with 18 years experience in procurement domain. He has been successful in keeping him updated on the latest technological advancement in the industry. Hello, Shailesh, and welcome to Procurement Valley.
Hi, Montu, and hi to the entire procurement community of Procurement Valley.
Thank you. I am very happy to inform that we also have second speaker with us, Mr. Praveen Garg, with experience of 23 years experience in domain of procurement. He is responsible for global sourcing or various IT technologies for his company. Hello, Praveen. Have I said everything correct, or would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Montu. Thank you. And hi, everyone on this forum. Yeah, partly Montu has described about me. So in total, 23 years of experience. He started with automobiles field. So my first 10 and a half years are with the automobile companies like Escorts, Maruti, Honda. And then I shifted to telecom. So for the last 12 and a half years, I am with telecom field. And in telecom, I switched over from mechanical to IT. And recently, after various portfolios, recently I'm responsible mainly for the softwares and the software for the various whether it is external procurement or internal procurement that involves the automation and the AI tools also. So that's how it is. Thank you.
Great, Praveen. And I am very happy to inform you that both of us, our speaker, have been closely involved in evaluating various automation technologies for their current and ex organization. And they are here with us to share their views on what should be a procurement person's view towards the automation technology. I am also thinking that in current scenario and in current race of achieving higher efficiency, are we forgetting something or are we risking something? Isn't it this dilemma situation hitting us hard? So, friends, I have some set of question to ask to both of speakers. So now let me start this session by asking some hard question first of all. So my first question is to Mr. Shailesh. Hi, Shailesh, can you please throw some light on the dilemma that how to choose between traditional system and new age technology system? How should a procurement person look at it? Over to you, Shailesh.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Welcome, Shailesh, once again.
Great. So I'm so pleased that the opening question of the session is the difficult one, and that too it's on me. So you want me to hit 6 on the first ball, huh, Montu?
Yep.
Now is the trend of IPL, so you are, I think, fond of IPL. Okay, great. So, okay, let me share my views on the question which has been asked by Montu, which is the dilemma situation which all of us in the procurement domain are going through. Right now, the procurement function, right? They have been working on traditional systems, and this traditional system has been efficient to an extent till the time the volume was manageable by the procurement team. Now, once the volume goes up, right, and the same level of headcounts are supposed to deliver the same level of efficiency and quality, right? This is where they have stumbled. So there are many teams who have come across a lot of issues in procurement function, and they have been struggling. And at the if procurement and the supply chain team struggle, it is ultimately the company's performance which gets hampered. So as the topic of today's session goes, it's inevitable. So I hope everyone understands what is inevitable, right? Your company would sooner or later adopt a automated technology platform to monitor the supply chain or whether it is to manage the spend. So as a functional user, you have to learn a lot of new technologies, right? And ensure that you are with the management's directive, right? If you wish to oppose or you delay or you sideline the newer technologies and continue with the traditional methodology, however good it is, right? But let me be very frank, technology won't get sidelined. Instead, it will be that buyer who opposes or delays will get sidelined. So it is better that we as a functional user of that automation technology start quickly learning about all this technology and make ourselves competent to handle these newer technologies. Okay, another way of looking at it is it's a zero error system, right? Montu just said about the traditional methodologies, right? There are slip ups such as misplaced purchase orders or incorrect GRNs which are booked. All these are human errors, right? And all those are repetitives in nature, right? Every day we are punching purchase orders. Every day there are GRNs getting booked, right? Every day there are dispatches which is happening from the supplier side. Every day the quote follow-ups or material follow-ups or price comparatives. All these things are everyday tasks of the procurement team, right? So there are chances of huge amount of errors which gets into it. Let's for an example take that it is only 1% error which gets incorporated in the system due to this manual setup, right? What would happen? Obviously there will be escalations, things will come to a grinding halt, right? The second is the bandwidth issue, right? There are good amount of bandwidth bottlenecks which we face on a daily basis. So if you don't adopt an automated technology, why will a procurement guy float inquiries in the night? Or for example, why will you make comparison charts in the night, right? Which a system will do just at a click of a button, right? So the sheer number of purchase requests and orders and invoices and stakeholder requests, which keeps all the buyers occupied, right? One small mistake, one small human error, and there are escalations which you and your boss have to manage. So by introducing automation into the procurement practices, companies can take majority of tedious or repetitive tasks, right? Or some complex tasks out of the buyer's plate, and this will help them to create some bandwidth for the buyer to do a lot of innovation on negotiations or on vendor research, right? While the process of the computing of Excel table charts or booking a GRN or making the PO runs for itself. Okay, let me give you one more insights. As per leading market survey, right, 67% of the procurement teams in the world are undergoing automation at this point of time. So hear me out carefully. 67% of procurement teams in the world are undergoing automation as we talk.
Oh,
You know how much is India? India is less than 10%. Less than 10%. It's in single digit. And there is a dire need of adopting automation and driving it in the right direction to be ahead of the race. This is what all we want. Hence, my take on the dilemma situation is very clear. If it is automation, I am for it as a procurement leader. I wish and I suggest that rest of the team members in the procurement community also go with the flow and look at what technologies they can adopt to make their supply chain and procurement function automated. This is the answer from my side, Montu. Over to you.
yes, Shailesh, thank you for your view or sharing your insight over this question. So now I would like to invite Mr. Praveen Garg if he can share some suggestions or some view on this question.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Monto. I would like to subsequent what Shailesh has just said. So first of all, we have a popular myth that automation is something new which will take it from take all of us from Earth to moon. No, it's not like that. Automation does happen. Automation was there in the previous years as well. Automation is happening now, and it will further accelerate in the times to come with much more rapid speed. Now, whether we are with it or not with it, so as Shailesh said, it is inevitable. It is going to happen. It is going to challenge you more and more because the companies are competing on the in what optimization way they are utilizing their resources to churn out the products, processes, and technologies. So automation is one tool which will help us to optimum utilization of our resources to churn out the things with less human errors. Of course, it has certain constraints which we will discuss, the follow-up questions and maybe in the conversation. I would like to also add one more thing. The procurement these days is not the normal procurement as it used to be, earlier days. We are just floating the RFP based on the certain historical data and processing it, negotiating it, and just putting it into the market. There are new factors which have come into the place. We earlier have heard about it's a buyer market, supplier market, availability of resources, and probably a few more factors. The technology change and technology adoption and all that. But there is a new constraint which has come into the picture now, the geopolitical situations, which redefine your supply chain flows. For example, the ongoing discussion about the banning of one particular country's products or gears into a few European countries, as well as probably in India and Asian market also. And that puts a lot of pressure on the complete supply chain, because over a period of time, the supply chain has evolved in such a way that some specific components are manufactured in particular countries and geographies, and the other countries or other places, it is being assembled and utilized. So according to their competence, the supply chains have been evolved. This is how the interdependency has grown over a period of time in the past 2 decades, and the supply chain has evolved. Now, in these growing complexities, how to optimize and how to be successful in optimization of the overall resource utilization, it requires rigorous analysis. We have load of data, massive data available with us, but how to produce and predict something useful which will help a procurement analyst to focus on that. So automation is required. So automation is not bad. Automation is inevitable. Automation is achievable. Automation is not going anywhere, and it's not a new thing. It's happening in piece and meal basis. As a human potential is as a human capabilities are increasing, so is with the automation also. So it's going to be there, and it will further redefining and further strengthening our processes, our optimization of the resources, etc. This is my take, Montu.
Yeah, nice, Praveen. So we have some limitation on this Zoom software. I have shared another web link of a meeting. Can we join there? So I request to all of our participants, please click on that and let us join there. I will also share this web link on WhatsApp group. Thank you. Let us join there.
By automating, right, will it actually become truly human intervention free, or will there be still a human intervention? Is something which is to be baselined first, right? That clarity of thought has to be there, right? A basic definition of automation is something which doesn't need a human intervention. This is the basic definition, right? And there are multiple technologies in the automation basket. Okay, now let me give you the first technology which I want to introduce to the team, right, is about RPA. I'm sure most of you would have heard about RPA, right? It stands for Robotic Process Automation. It's a type of a software set of codes, right, that imitates the activity of humans which are carrying out a task, right, within a specific process, right? It has RPA has actually become a buzzword in most of the procurement departments, right? Majorly because the procurement function has adopted RPA functionality for their invoice verification process. Most of the organizations whom I have interacted with, right, a few of my peers in the industry, they have adopted RPA's methodology for their invoice validation and invoice verification process, right? The benefits of automation provided by RPA is immense, right? One cannot actually deny that. But I am also sure that people are not new to this concept, right? But people who are actually new to the concept, RPA is used where there are too many repetitive tasks, which is to be performed again and again, same day. I'll just give you a small example. A vendor submitting a bill, right? You have to give an acknowledgement that yes, you have received. Every time same, yes, I have received, yes, I have received. Instead of that, can there be a system where bills can come automatically and vendor will auto get an auto acknowledgement, right? Doing a code follow-up, you have to again call 20 times the same vendor. Every time you generate inquiry for the same items, follow-up, right? Instead of that follow-up, can there be a manual follow-up, or can there be a voice blast which can happen? And if the vendors have not submitted the code, a voice blast can go to the vendor, automated, in an automated way, with your voice recorded as a buyer, right? So RPA can automate most of the steps, be it procurement, be it the logistics, or be it the supply chain function. It can automate most of the steps and eliminate the touch points. This is what an RPA is. This is the first technology which can also be looked at. The second piece is about the AI, right? Now, AI is another buzzword in the market, right? Now, AI stands for artificial intelligence, right? I recall in some of the session last time, I think a few weeks back on one of the session of procurementvalley.com, right? People, one of the guy had asked, what is AI? We want to have a session on AI. So AI, just to clarify everyone, right? Although it is a set of software code, right? AI is a concept. AI is actually a concept. It is obviously built by a set of software codes, right? It digests a lot of data. It learns from that data, and then it becomes better time by time, better with time, and gives an actionable output. Just recently, there was a 5-day session, a virtual session. I don't know how many people would have noticed, right? It was from it was a government initiative called as Raise 2020. It was actually a global summit for the AI companies of the world, right? First of the kind. So just in case, if any one of you, right, if you get time, go through the recordings. I have gone through few, and I've realized that India is taking AI very, very seriously, right? There are too many suppliers, too many startups who are into these areas, and people will actually experience AI enabled process in early 2021. This is what I have realized and understood from the recordings which I have looked at, right? The other set of new technologies which is more and more prevalent in the procurement and supply chain function is the IoT. Right now, everyone would have also heard about IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. Right, it is a set of these are a set of hardware devices and a set of software codes, right, which interact with each other, right, and then you get real-time inputs about what's happening where, right, what is the status, right, and there are too many use cases, plenty of use cases. IoT as a concept is not new in India, right, but there are many companies who have adopted, but the actual potential of IoT is not yet explored in India, right? There are large corporates and conglomerates in India who are betting big on IoT, right? The large scale rollout has not yet happened, but once it goes live, right, you would see small, tiny devices at your place, and whatever small inconveniences which you would have experienced for example, finding out a parking slot, or for example, understanding when is your AC's maintenance due, or when is your refrigerator's maintenance due, and all those things which you generally forget by the time, right? You would get auto alerts, you will get real-time alerts, right? Where is your vehicle parked, right? Who is driving whose vehicle? All those details would be easily available on the tip using IoT as a technology, right? Benefits of these automation technologies are humongous, right? Reduced costs, better tracking facilities, lesser reduction in the errors, then a higher efficient workforce, and obviously at the end you would have a team who has adequate bandwidth to do other innovations in the world. So this is all about the new technologies which are there in the market, relevant to the procurement and the supply chain function. What do you want to?
थैंक्स शैलेश. एक क्वेश्चन इसमें से और निकल के आता है. If we are really moving towards automation for our procurement domain, लोग ये सोचते हैं, if we talk about other domain like marketing or other business department or logistic or other business units in our corporates, what they think is कि जब ऑटोमेशन करना है तो प्रोक्योरमेंट वालों की ज़रूरत ही क्या है. सुनने में थोड़ा अजीब लगेगा आप लोगों को, बट लोगों के मुंह से ऐसी चीज़ें सुनते हैं हम डे टू डे एक्टिविटी में. जब कोई ऑटोमेशन या लेट्स से फर्स्ट टाइम मेरी कंपनी में अरीवा इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ था, तो वहाँ लोगों ने ये क्वेश्चन रखा था कि जब अरीवा ही सब कुछ करेगा तो हम लोगों की ज़रूरत क्या होगी. सो आई वॉन्ट टू नो what is your say or what is your view on this myth? I can say this is a myth. So Shailesh and Praveen, would you like to share some view or some perspective on this?
Okay, let me go first. Right, Monto. In fact, whenever there is a new big change comes, we have a resistance, or probably, and this resistance is in the absence of the proper knowledge, awareness, or probably we have not realized those things in a full comprehensive way, and that's why we make our myths and perceptions about these things. Like I earlier said, automation is not a new thing. It's happening gradually. It's happening. I mean, Excel sheet is, the advanced Excel is a form of automation only, right? So we look up and all those kind of things, what you do in the Excel sheet, it's an automation kind of a thing. Automation is not going to replace persons. Long back, I do remember there was a study by Forrester. They said that in US, the 8% of the jobs will be lost by 2018. Nothing has happened because of the automation. And automation is US is the earlier adopter of the automation. And they also predicted by, there's a company, McKinsey, they said by 2030, US 30% of the jobs, 1/3 of the jobs will be lost to automation. But it's not gonna happen. I mean, so it's not a replacement of human procurement expertise. It's only aiding procurement professionals, so that, as Shailesh in the opening statement said, it will vacate procurement professionals time so that they can focus more on the more pressing needs. See the intelligence. When we talk about the intelligence, is it only the humans? No, the intelligence is not the proprietary of humans only. If you see the blue raptors, they envisage and they understand that the earthquake is going to come almost 24 hours before us, because the small tremors they can sense and they can tell. Similarly, the earthworms and all that. And same thing humans are doing. Humans are a little bit more developed and they are putting this intelligence and processing it so that it can be put into the larger cause. Now, with adaptation of automation, what we will be doing, we will be eliminating the human errors. We will be having a comprehensive views of all those factors which will enable a procurement professional to take more informed and risk-free decisions. That's the only thing. This is the only thing going to happen. That's my take.
Okay, let me add to what Praveen has said. Right, while there are a lot of concern out in the market about loss of jobs due to technology or due to automation, right? It is very important to remember that traditionally many employers faced shortage of skillful and wise talent in their procurement and supply chain function. And the reason why I'm insisting specifically about the procurement and supply chain function is people adopting Ariba, because I want to relate my answer to the question which and the experience which you shared, Montu, that Ariba was getting deployed and then you were said, why do I need your team? Right. So there are a pool of employers I know that who are making a mistake of firing people in anticipation that solely an automated platform will save the huge cost for the company, right? And it will drive the entire SCM and it will drive the entire spend and manage the entire spend function. And recently, it is more visible under COVID times, right? But what these employers forget is the man has made the machine and not the vice versa, right? Smart employers will look at reskilling their resources, reskilling their employees, because these employees are familiar with the business nuances. These employees will be trained and brought to a level wherein their inputs along with the latest automation technologies, right, would help to maintain a sustainable automated platform, right, which learns upon its own mistake and takes corrective action at that point of time itself, right? So people who are seeking higher salaries and want to move quickly in the management ladder can take actual advantage of this automation and not to be worried about a job loss, right? Get sharpened with your skills and quickly move to the next management ladder, right? But before you adopt any the automation in any part of your procurement and supply chain function, please make sure that there is a good amount of research, good amount of study which you people would do, right? There are many areas where in the procurement and supply chain function, right, where you can deploy the automation technologies, right? Be it IoT, be it RPA, be it AI, right? So just take a small example that there is a huge amount of data which we sit on, right? The n number of procurement activities which would have happened through us all the time through all these years, right, have got piled up now. The data has got piled up and it is very, very messy, right? A lot of structured and unstructured data is available with us, right? So coming up from a manual system of handmade POs to doing a lot of muster entries of goods receipt and material issue notes, right, to signing of checks and handing it over to the vendors and vendor giving an acknowledgement on paper, all this data replication, right, manual works, we move to a automated platform of ERPs, right, a decade back or more than half a decade, more than 1.5 decade back. We moved to a session of ERP where all the records were electronically stored. But what happened to the data? The data was still a data. So we migrated from a paperless system. You migrated to a paperless system. That's it. But about this data, right? What is to be done? Is there an actionable intelligence which can come out of that data? Is something which is supposed to be thought on, right? Now, this automation technologies, right, can help in all the small aspects. Be it and there are good amount of use cases on top of this, right? And the reason why I wish to give the use cases is this myths that whether I'll be facing a job loss, whether this software tool will take my position, this should be removed out of your mind. Rather, make use of this technology to make your position more stable. Right? Again, another set of example: contract negotiations. Right? There are tools which are available in market which will help you do contract negotiations in a span of and concluding the contract in a span of 3 days, 4 days time instead of multiple months, right? All the tolerances which you would have built in the contract negotiations, right? Both the opening and the closing clauses, right? All the negotiations which happens to and fro over long calls, right? Multiples of hours of calls with the same vendor again and again, right? 20 pages document, 30 pages document, all can happen. All your tolerances can be published, right? On that published tolerances portal, vendor can submit their responses, right? A comparative can happen. You can get any feedback internally. You can then open up wherever you want to relax and wherever you don't want to relax. System will then on itself read and be ready to do the same level of negotiation on those contractual clauses if in case this comes across another vendor's negotiation of an agreement, right? So all this will help to record the time of the buyer team who was sometimes not able to justify why their contracting tax were so high, right? And at the same time, the contract document will also be ready in a few days time instead of a month's time, right? So contract negotiation is another use case. Warehousing, right? There are lakhs and lakhs of SKUs lying in your warehouse, and you have been asked to hand over some set of SKUs to your shop floor. It would take some time for you, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes for you to locate that material, bring it back to the floor, and hand it over to the person who has requested for it. Instead, you can, at a click of a button, you can know exactly where that material is lying, right? And coupled with this system coupled with an automated storage and retrieval system, right, will quickly fetch that material and then bring it on the table for issuing the material, right? These are few use cases which ideally I wanted to share to the team, right? There are many such use cases which are there, which are very interesting, very interesting in the procurement and supply chain function, right? The negotiation. Okay, so one more thing which strikes my mind is the negotiations which we do, right? A lot of to and fro with the systems. I need this target price, I need these set of terms and conditions. Vendor will agree to some, vendor will not agree to some. Then again get into second set of calls, third set of calls, likewise multiple calls, and your single deal, irrespective of value, be it a lakh of a rupee of value or maybe multiple of crores of value. Endless cycles of negotiations, right? I have looked at a use case where all the telephonic conversations or negotiations, right, it gets converted to a decision making system. A simple yes or no from a supplier on a phone call gets interpreted. The vendor's sentiment also gets analyzed on the phone call, right? And what should be a buyer's response to that specific sentiment also gets prompted at the bottom of the screen on real-time basis while he talks. This is the level of automation people are bringing in outside India. This is what is happening outside India. So people are automating the way they're contracting, people are automating the way they are negotiating, they are recording. All these records are analyzed, and then a negotiation pitch is developed, which also gets delivered automatically to the vendor. So system keeps a track of itself, right? It's a mix of AI embedded with something called as NLP, natural language processing, with sentiment analysis, right? So deep diving on each of the technologies is not practically possible because it is just a 1 hour session. But there are multiple of use cases in the procurement domain, right? And uh, from my side, I want to assure that there is no risk of job loss, which I see from my side. If an organization is insisting on adopting a technology for a specific procurement function or for a logistics function or for a warehousing function, happily get into it. Do not fear any job loss. Instead, you should be the boss of the system. Take ownership and you write that system. There will be manual interventions required all the time, right? So do not fear. All these things are to be properly managed and properly tracked, but you need to learn. Learning is the basic thing. Over to you,
Yeah,
Montu.
the very rightly said, Shailesh. And before start of any or before adopting any technology, we have to. It is super critical that we probe it, that it should result into saving time, reduce hassles in the production process cost, and still maintain the proper ROI. So this is from a management perspective when the SCFO decides whether to go for automation or not. And then we know that it is not a new thing that we have to move from a subjective approach to a more of a data driven approach. And this data will be coming from where, like Shailesh was saying, that we are sitting on a huge pile of data. How this data can help us? Historical data, historical purchase prices, and the market intelligence, the business intelligence. How to couple those inputs with our historical data so that we can plan our negotiation pitch. That's very important. That's super critical for a uh, sourcing professional or a procurement professional. So one thing is definitely clear. It is not going to replace humans, but the way humans are acting, the way we are processing information, that is gonna change. In other words, I would say our job roles are gonna redefine with the adoption of these technologies. We have to be, as a procurement professional, we have to be ready for that. So gain more knowledge, create awareness among ourselves as well as with the others also. That's the only way, because as earlier said, this is inevitable. This is going to happen. And this is definitely will bring in landmark changes the way we are operating and the way the sourcing function or the procurement function operates. Over to you, Montu.
Thank you so much, Salesh and Praveen, for your holistic view on my doubt or on my question. And Shailesh, thanks for the overview of this newer automation technology. But it is there an place where these can fit into procurement function or their day-to-day processes. What is your overview on this question?
So as I said, right, there are too many areas in procurement functions, right, where the newer technologies can take their place, right? But the fitment of those technologies is to be ascertained, right? Now, my earlier set of examples of newer technologies used in contracting, newer technologies used in negotiations, right? Newer technologies used in warehousing related things, right? From as an employer, if I am the employer, right, I would like to have the most optimum procurement team with whatever minimum number of headcounts possible, but a system driven and system takes its own charge, right? This is what I would expect, right? But from a having experienced both the sides of the table, right, I actually don't seriously recommend to have dependency on solely a software to run your procurement department or your logistics function, right? Rather smaller parts like supplier onboarding, right? Or invoice data extraction and validation, which I covered in under the RPA's definition, if you recall, right? Or if you are a startup, right? In fact, you can embed the newer technologies right from the inception stage, right? But if you are not a startup, and if you're having an existing procurement function, right, you should ideally look at the low hanging fruits, right? As I said, supplier onboarding can be the most low hanging fruits, right? The sending of emails or for sharing the POs and getting an acknowledgement, all these processes, small processes of communication of a PO copy to a vendor and getting that acknowledgement, right? Getting invoice copies from vendors on email, sending it for validation. All these small processes needs to get automated. This is the first and foremost thing which a buying team should look at, right? So you'll have to familiarize yourself with your function first. Look at which are the low hanging fruits for you to automate, right? Do a good amount of POC as well, right? When I say POC, I mean proof of concepts. You would need to understand whether those POCs would actually meet the objective which you are which for which you have decided to adopt a technology, right? And once your internal users are convinced, means your internal teams are convinced, only then you actually roll out. I've seen so many automation projects in my life, right, where it is pushed on the procurement team, literally pushed on procurement teams, but then procurement team will continue to do the traditional way, right? So the automation itself fails the adoption curve, and ultimately it's a dead investment. So use cases are plenty, but my stake is look at low hanging fruits, start automating your low hanging fruits first, right? Then look at a big bang show. What do you want to?
Thanks, Alesh. Praveen, would you like to share your perspective on this question?
It's just, let's say, I would say the automation can only help us in our existing buying behavior, what we are doing, understanding the market best practices also. Of course, with the human intervention, when we give this kind of inputs, it makes it, and it can give you the certain kind of recommendations which we should use. And of course, with the low hanging fruits, the right now the use of automation, of course, though it is primitive, it's increasing. It has not been adopted in a way that it should be, but of course, it brings in a lot of cognitive aspect of the procurement behavior into our buying behavior, which will eventually help us. For example, what is our main focus as a procurement professional? So, of course, these operational things, P2P, sending a requisition, sending an internal communication, or getting an external communication, all these things are the sidelines. But what is our core function as a procurement? Our core function is buying, taking a right decision in the favor of the company, means right product, right price, right quantity, in right time, which is traditionally the value. The goal is still the same. The only thing is we are redefining it with the aid of automation. And I feel our major focus is in any industry. I mean, depending upon the industry which you are, right? For example, if I talk about the IT, we are more category centric. For example, the software as a category, how to procure the software, and what should be the procurement strategies around that software. So we study generally the market behavior. We study the various elements which is affecting this software market, not only the competition, but internal buying, the customer challenges, the CFO, generally the buyer, the customers, they want every purchase to be passed through their ROI targets. So they set a target. at what price, what technology, or what kind of a product has to be purchased. So this all influence your supply chain behavior. And automation is one thing which will help you to understand the customer behavior as well as your own behavior, as well as your set of policies and guidelines, and will give you um, a more comprehensive view of the procurement decision what you will be making. So that's my view. So for example, I mean, Shailesh has given a very nice example of the contracting. There are certain softwares which will, I mean, in the previous question, the certain softwares which can be, the contracts can be easily managed with the use of those softwares. Similarly, the very low hanging fruits, which will consume otherwise a buyer's energy, that can be offloaded to these automation processes. Of course, these processes again has to be controlled by the human intervention only, because as we human being, we control their policies and the rules which will enable the tool to take the decision. In our company, we are using one software tool, which is not only giving us the historical data benefit whenever we make a decision, also it gives the inventory if there is a unused license or unused software tool which is being kept over there, and it gives the insight whether you have to buy or whether you have to utilize that particular license itself. Or it also gives a insight in our that tool, what are the various benefits of adopting a software, whether I should go as a software as a service or should I go as a perpetual model kind of a thing, depending upon my internal finance targets. Over to you, Montu.
Okay, thanks Praveen and Shailesh. So dear all, once again, I am going to share another web invite link.
Oh, is it expiring?
Yes, just a moment. I am just going to share. Here we go. So can you please click on this and let us join there.
Please make sure that whatever data you are carrying, right? If you're not sure about the quality of data which was generated through the earlier set of ERPs which you had operated in, right? Try to modify the way the ERP is set up in a way that your data which gets extracted can get auto consumed by some software, right? Now, what is that software? We can always argue, right? But data is the most prime and basic requirement, right? And it's your own data only, right? What you procure, at what rate you procure, from which vendor you procure, when did the delivery happen, how many quotes came, what was the L1, L2, L3 price difference, right? Was the delivery on time? Was the quality accepted by the people? On which date the invoice came? On which date the payment happened? Right? How much time? Who took? Right? What is the buyer stat? What is the invoice processing guy stat? What is your boss's stat to approve the PO? By the way, right? So all these things is data. Right now, this data has to be in some or other structured form to be consumed. If you have a structured data for the previous set of years, great. You have something to start with. But if you don't have, try to modify your ERP and CRM systems in a way that you would be able to give a structured data to a system, a software, right? And then we'll start a journey of what objective you would need to meet first. So what is the first objective you want to meet? Is TAT your prime objective to monitor first, right? Or cost savings is the first thing which we should target? Or is contract negotiations is the first thing to target, right? Or delivery lead times, right? How much time a specific truck took to move from a place A to place B, right? Was that truck loitering around, or is the driver doing some time pass over some location, right? If what is the objective finally which you want to find out using which technology is to be set, right? But for that, baseline is the data which you will have to feed, so that there is a reference which is set on which you will start measuring. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is it's a journey. It's not that something which will be quickly fixed and then you'll start realizing the benefit the second day. So it's a multi-year journey, right? And one bold statement which I want to make over here is not every process is fit for automation, right? I'll repeat again. Not every process is fit for automation. There are processes which will always remain manual, right? And I don't want to cite examples over here, but because it will lead into arguments, right? But before automating a process, right, you'll have to check whether this process which is to be automated, whether this set of automation, this set of investment in automating that process is actually going to save time, or if it's actually going to save is actually going to build efficiency in the entire process, right? So make sure that your, as Praveen said, right, your ROI, return on investment, your ROI calculations of which process to automate is to be made very clear, right? And then you shortlist which process is to be automated. And again, data is the basic truth, right? It will decide your fate of automation.
If the data is not there, or data is not structured, if the data is not proper, so then even this automation cannot do with anything. So Shailesh has rightly pointed out, this data has to be in place in a very structured way, in proper way, because these are machines. They do not think like humans. This is a software which uses the various algorithm to analyze our data to churn out the recommendation. So unless and until we have the right data form, the automation cannot do. Maybe it's an unstructured way, but the data has to be there, and it should be the correct data. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, Montu.
Yes, Praveen. If we do not understand this new technology, or if we will not upgrade ourselves, then only garbage in and garbage out. So let us also look into our chat box. Pramod Srinivasa is writing that I understand that we are speaking at low-hanging fruits as part of automation. I would be interested in some of strategic decision one should look from management perspective, like automation, rationalization of vendor database, etc. Could you both share your thoughts on this question?
Okay. If you analyze the spend data, and of course, it can be done by any automation, or probably it can be done by humans. I mean, it's the same thing. So first of all, the automation, like we earlier said, it's a decision by the management in view of the financial gains out of that, with the adoption of that. The low-hanging, rather than the low-hanging fruit, I can tell you the other things also. The trail spend data, wherein the 20% of the spend, but there is a lot of suppliers into that by doing the spend analysis. It's just a waste for us. I mean, you have to put a dedicated sourcing professional over there. Rather, that sourcing professional can utilize its competence and its time somewhere else. So we can make decisions. And what are those decision streams? That automation can help. Either we outsource that spend, or we do maybe the consolidate that particular spend among the 2 or 3 suppliers, or there could be another work stream what we can think of. So that kind of a recommendation from if we have that kind of a data available, that kind of a recommendation come from our thinking process, and that thinking process could be the human capital, or probably through set of certain cognitive and set of algorithms which we have fed into the automation process. So that is one area wherein we can do the spend analysis. The second thing is, like we earlier said, as a procurement professional, we have to focus on the sourcing category management also, which is very, very critical. Gone are the days when we just, go into the market and based on the volume or probably the company's bargaining power, we negotiate something. We negotiated something, but who will tell that whether it is correct or not? For example, the vendor has asked you the 100 rupees for a particular unit, and you negotiated it down to 80 rupees, and you bought it. But who will determine whether 80 rupees is the right cost or not? Maybe we have still left certain money on the table. So all those kind of things will come from your historical data and the market analysis. So that kind of a thing randomly is not available. That kind of a thing, when you give this kind of a data to a automated process, they can give you a dashboard kind of a thing about the market price of that particular thing, what is the competition landscape about that, or probably your own historical purchasing data, at what prices you have purchased. So this will enable you to negotiate that particular thing. Also, this will also help you to decide about, like Shailesh earlier said, about the contract management. The contract management is very, very critical. It's there are certain boilerplate clauses which we cannot negotiate. So we define the tolerances and the deviations, what we can take it or not take it. So those tolerances, if we automate it through a certain set of controls, then it will be discussed and this will be visible in front of us. So rather than haggling around, lots of multiple discussions around those tolerances, probably we ourselves can take a decision with the help of these automations. Shailesh, over to you.
Yeah, very, very nicely put forth, Praveen. So if I look at what my management should guide me, right, before I adopt technology, I believe that was the question, right? What strategic decision I should look at from my management side, right? Whether my management should ask me to go for e-auction, whether my management should ask me to go for a vendor rationalization. Right? If that was the correct question, right? So there are two scenarios which are existing over here, right? One is you are involved as a buyer, but you aren't a functional user of that automation technology, right? It's like negotiating for some other department of marketing, or whether it is for finance, or whether it is for HR, right? Some technology of automation, right? Be it RPA, IoT, or the AI piece. And second scenario is that you are involved as a buyer, as well as you are a functional end user. Means that technology is going to be used by your own team sitting next to you, right? So in either of the scenario, you would need a detailed thought through process, right? Management directive, right? Whatever level of CXO person you are mapped to, your department is mapped to, right? Since that adoption is happening in the company, that CXO person should be in principal agreement before you start evaluation of the new technology. Once you have secured that, right, whether to go ahead and do offline negotiations, or to bring it on an e-auction table, or whether to give that deal to a third party e-auction vendor to do a reverse auction, is something which you and your procurement HOD has to decide. Now there are nuances of what item are to be done on reverse auction and what items can be done through offline negotiations, but that's a separate subject, right? But to answer that question, whether should I go for e-auction, whether I should go for vendor rationalization, the point is you should be having a any automation adoption in any company should have a top down approach, right? You should have blessings of your CXOs level people that you are adopting an XYZ technology, right? Be it whether your own department or be it someone else's department within your company, right? It should be there. But the focus should be a bit different, right? By that, what I mean is the procurement person should shift his focus to a big picture thinking sort of a level, right? To be okay, so now the reason why I've said about big picture is the world is actually moving towards an integrated, automated world, integrated and automated world, right? Wherein the buyer's system, the customer's system, and the vendor's system, right? So the source, the buying company, and the end consumer, all these systems are integrated. So you won't be required to call for a quote. You won't be required to send POs on email, right? Your POs will directly get punched into the vendor system. It will automatically get converted to a sales order. Delivery notes and invoices will automatically get auto updated in the buying organization books, right? So there are no invoice errors or delays in the payment, right? Start thinking from the integrated, automated perspective, right? Keep that as your final point where you should reach, right? And then do a reverse calculation, right? What is that you want to, what is that you wish to do now, right? So vendor consolidation, start consolidating the vendor portfolio, right? Look out for more strategic partners, right? And by that you will also holistically cut costs, but check whether those strategic partners are having their systems which are open for integration, right? Because this is the end stage where you want to reach, the integrated automated world, right? For the other departments like logistics, right? Check whether your service providers are enabling you with the real-time data, where your trucks are, where is that material which you have shipped, where are they lying, right? Which location, whether which checkpost it has reached, right? All these real-time inputs can be consumed by your systems. It can be relayed to your sales guys. Sales guys can give it to your customers for having that wow sort of a feeling, right? What I mean to say by all this example is, build a technologically to build a technologically advanced ecosystems, we need to take baby steps, right? And when you start taking baby steps, keep that futuristic goal in your mind that an integrated technology automated system is something which you have envisioned, and all those baby steps will help you to achieve milestone. And that's why I said in my 10 minutes back conversation, it's a journey, it's a multi-year journey, right?
I
Okay,
can
so
I can add one small example in this COVID time, which is more relevant. Right now, also, the contracts and the documents are getting signed. How we are doing this? We are using the DocuSign, right? And maybe there is other softwares also. So the process is that you have negotiated with a certain things, whether it is a manual or maybe with the help of a certain contract. So once that is signed, how it is processing, I mean, how it is going from, let's say the customer has contacted something with you, and then the customer team, I mean, our sales team has come to you, the sourcing to contract with the suppliers on the same terms and condition. Once you have concluded that, after how the document is moving, it is in the automated system itself. The companies have the software today. We are using, for example, the DocuSign. It is getting signed over there, and then it is going to the supplier. The supplier is signing it and sending it through DocuSign, and it is getting into a authorized repository of your company, and it is filed over there. So it is meeting your all compliances. It's a paperless, free from any kind of interest. It is getting the confidential information. It is not passing to anybody, and it is rightly after signing, it is getting into your repository. This is one small example of the automation itself. So we have, like Shailesh said, we have to very, very judicially take a call what all processes, with the help of the CXOs, CFOs, or the CSOs, have to take a call, what process we have to automate and what process we shouldn't. It depends on the technology, it depends on the nature of the product what we are sourcing, it depends on the geopolitical and the other market forces and the factors also in which we are operating. Over to you, Montu.
Super, Praveen and Salis. So I would also like to know from your side, is there any other software, like if we talk about AI, and apart from Coupa and Ariba, do we have any other software in market, what we are talking about exactly in this session?
So I would request you not to push us to name the OEMs, right? Because we are. I am especially not here, or I am sure. I believe Praveen is also not there to name a OEM and market a specific OEM. There to answer your
Okay.
question, the answer is yes. There are players, right? Be it Coupa, be it other XYZ vendor which you have named. There are plenty of players. There are even startups who have entered into this domain, and you won't believe the startup, the founders with whom I've interacted are Indians basically, right?
Yes.
They have established companies outside India, and they are selling those products over there. They are automating the procurement function, right? And good amount of success they have achieved. They are trying their luck in India, by the way. And there are companies, there are customers who have shown trust on them. I'll be the potential customer. My organization might be a potential customer few weeks down the line, because we are also assessing the next generation AI enabled technology, source to pay platform sort of, right? So the to answer the question, there are players, old, new, big, small, and startups as well.
Super. So Praveen and Salesh.
Yeah, same take. Same take. So it's not good to name any of the OEMs or the suppliers over here. If you Google around, there are procurement sites where these kind of information is available, and I'm sure once you express your expression of interest in their software, there are hundreds or maybe a selected few. Those companies will directly approach you. You analyze them, and the Shailesh has said a very good thing. Once you make a decision that you are exploring to automate certain thing, go for the proof of concept. Ask these companies to do the process proof of concept, and then decide which one works well for you, technically as a process wise, as well as from the cost perspective.
Right.
Yes, Montu.
Okay. So what we as procurement professional should need to do next? What is your say, Praveen and Shailesh?
Well, I said, like I said earlier, it is inevitable thing. So what we should do, we should be aware about these tools, these processes, what kind of a benefit it is bringing in. And once you have the blessings from your company's management about this to go for that, then you review your processes, identify what all processes you want to automate, do a cost benefit analysis, because the sourcing is not alienated from the CFO's decision. So each individual, the sourcing guy is in one dimension is a CFO itself, because he or she is managing the entire the sourcing supply chain in one way or the other way. I see a sourcing professional as a CEO or a CFO of the entire supply chain of the vendors community, basically, because you are managing everything. You are handling their resources. You are managing their resources to protect your supply chain. You're also managing and understanding their the balance sheets and the financial data, so that your supply chain remains unaffected. You're also managing, what kind of investment and what kind of a strategic decision those companies are taking. You also manages, what kind of the competition. These suppliers, the common supplier base are catering, whether they are 100% depending on you or not. So all those decisions are there. So you're in yourself is acting as a CFO. So it is necessary to understand, what process will give you the maximum benefit, and what process we have to automate, and what process we shouldn't leave it to this kind of a technology. And of course, we cannot do it in a standalone basis. We have to stitch all the loose ends, how the automation of a particular sourcing process itself will affect the other department or other functions in the company. So gain knowledge, understand what ramification, implication, and the benefits it will bring in. Talk to the affected stakeholders within the company, outside the company, and how and do the cost benefit analysis. If it is done, then plan it. Create awareness, bring create awareness about the product, how it is going to impact it, and how what kind of a benefits it will bring in to the larger community. Of course, addressing the perception, like we earlier said, that will it eat up my job? Will it create the entire procurement function obsolete. All those kind of things we have to address. So harnessing perception is very, very important, because if we have that kind of a perception, probably it will be difficult for the people to adopt this particular change in their organization. Shailesh?
Yeah, I completely second that, Praveen. Very fantastic view. Take your stakeholders together and do the product assessment and keep your stakeholders informed. A very clear, clean message. Very nice. How do you want to?
Thanks, Shailesh and Praveen. So now I would like to invite our participant if they have any questions or any query from their side. So one of our participant, Mr. Muhammad, is writing in chat box. Can you please look into it, Mr. Shailesh and Mr. Praveen?
See, hiring someone from outside who is an expert into technology, that specific technology, right, will not make them aware about business nuances which you as a buyer was aware about. When I say business nuances, what is that your actually business team wanted, and and why have you purchased that specific product? So this knowledge and the repository of all the deals which you would have closed in the past will always remain with you as a buyer, right? Just by swapping a buyer with someone who just knows the technology, right? Achha, for example, if my organization is implementing a IoT technology for monitoring the truck movement, they will they replace a buyer who is negotiating the freight costs? Obviously not, right? They'll always have a buyer who will negotiate the freight cost. They can enable a buyer using some technology to negotiate it better. They can organization can give them some market feeds inputs as well to negotiate further on the freight costs, or maybe with the new set of suppliers, new set of transporters. But they'll not replace, right? And if they are actually doing so, maybe there is something seriously wrong in the way the management is looking at technology adoption. Technology adoption is never for human replacement, right? Now, you as a buyer are you expected to sit and start coding? The answer is clear no. You are a functional user. Now, role of a functional user is always inevitable. Just like automation is inevitable, functional user will always be inevitable. A buyer role will always remain. What would complement a buyer's role is this new age technologies, which will make your life easier. The turnaround times for management to do the deal closure faster, right? This is what will enable you as a buyer. But you as a buyer should know how to make use of it. So as a buyer, you should know how to use that technology and not how to code. Does that answer, Montu, to some extent?
Yes, thank you, Shailesh and Praveen, and thanks for providing us a very holistic view on procurement automation. If we talk about, and this is a very inevitable steps for our procurement community. And the biggest takeaway from this session, at least for me, is to update ourselves. And being procurement professional, we should not worry about our job or our position. Rather, we should update ourselves and learn how to drive such new technologies. So now I would again ask to my participants if they have any question regarding procurement automation.
Hello, Shailesh. This is Vedant.
Yeah, Vedant.
Do you think that negotiation can ever be automated? The actual core of our purchasing negotiation, can it be ever automated by yes and no kind of solutions?
Okay. Is there a second part to this question, or is this the only?
No, this is the only question.
Okay. So to answer your question, can negotiation be automated? I have looked at a use case. I just spoke in the session today that I've looked at a technology wherein whatever how do you negotiate? You sometimes call the vendors face to face, right? Or sometimes you do it on phone. This is how traditionally you negotiate, right? Right?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes,
So there
yes.
are technologies available, Vedant. Obviously, those technologies are yet to mature, and I am yet to experience myself. But I have heard about technologies wherein when you are on a call with the vendors, right, whatever you are negotiating, whatever terms and conditions and pricing you're negotiating are getting converted. So that speech is getting converted to a text, it gets processed, right? And what should be your next probable reaction in terms of text gets displayed in front of your screen. And you again read those scripts, right? And indirectly you tempt that vendor to negotiate,
Okay.
right? So, and this gets recorded, as minutes of meeting, saying just like the script of a dialogue of a movie, for example, right? Mr.
Like a
X
transcript.
this, Mr. Y said this, Mr. Z said this, right? This gets documented,
Mhm.
right? And this is considered as a book of negotiations for a specific deal. This is what is
Mhm.
happening. So I believe,
I'll,
yes, once it gets matured,
yeah.
this will replace the traditional methodology of negotiations which we do.
Vedant, I'll just subsequent what Shailesh has just said. Uh, you know that when you buy insurance online, what does it happen? You know, you
Mm. There
struggle,
are
you haggle
that
around, then all of a sudden a bot act gets activated. May I help you?
bot
Kind
activity.
of thing,
Yes.
right? And then it start asking your your questions. You know, what are the problems? What do you want? What kind of a insurance? I mean, for example, are you looking for an automobile, or you are for a general insurance or a health insurance? These kind of things, and in a systematic way, it drives you to a particular product. It helps you in driving a particular product to buy, and then there is a sales pitch starts after that. So similarly, what Shailesh has just said, these technologies, if it evolves in that way, this will be a super fantastically will help us in our negotiation, because these technologies are fast learning the human cognitive skills and converting them into the probable the recommendation and the probability of the what kind of questions it will bring into you. So that
So,
way
Praveen,
your answer.
sorry to hold you in
Only the
between.
thing is,
Yeah.
Sorry to hold you, dear all.
Yeah.
Let us move with new join meeting so that we can have a fruitful question and answer session over there.
Highly, I would say, the developed kind of or a highly matured kind of a thing, wherein the set of questions coming from the vendors will predict what could be the next question and how it is going. Reading the sentiments, reading the pitch of the supplier, converting them into whether it is an anxiety, whether it is a fear, or whether it is excitement, or it's whether the supplier is taking a stand. That is a highly evolved kind of a system. Probably in future we might see those kind of
so
things also. Yes.
for using that kind of automation, we are going to require a huge amount of data, huge amount of NLP samples, so as to understand the sentiment of either supplier or buyer also, so as to crack that deal. Is it
And of course,
okay?
yes, of course. And but the flip side of this is, that the way a buyer is using his tool for the negotiation, the salesperson will also be using the similar kind of a tool.
Yes,
So
definitely. At
it
that
will be
bot
counterbalanced.
system that you said at the earlier, that is kind of a sales bot at every website that is able to direct us to the product that they are want to market or that we want to reach quickly. So that is kind of a sales bot. So for purchase, we will have to develop some sort of technology understanding the sentiments, right?
Right. Right. You're right.
Yes.
I mean, so this is a this is the example what I have given you is from the other side of the table. But why I have mentioned this, just to give you an example, because we have experienced such kind of a bots interaction on the websites. That's why I brought this particular example into our discussion.
Because apart from negotiation, the invoicing part, the GRN part, the payment part, and L1, L2, L3, that can be automated for most of the extent. But the hardcore negotiation, that is the only thing that we need to work with some sort of software engineers or data scientists to get that in real time.
Right. Rightly said.
Thank you.
So, dear participant, do you have any other query, or we really should move forward to end of this session? Okay, thank you, Praveen and Salesh, for being with us today. And the biggest takeaway I will again mention from your side, at least for me, is that people make machineries, and being procurement professional, we should not worry about our job. Rather, we should focus upon our upgradation, and we should learn how to drive such new technologies, right, Praveen and Salesh? So I would again thank you to my participants who has given their time, and see you soon.
One last example I would like to introduce is the ERFQ we
Sure.
are using. Many organizations are using the ERFQ. How it is done? I mean, over there, the suppliers can see the competitive pricing, and in certain cases, it also shows the suppliers also. But it depends on what we want to show. In certain cases, we set a target plus minimum and maximum, and then the suppliers play around that and they compete with each other. There is no human intervention. You can just witness that. You define the rules and regulations in the ERFQ tool, and then you can just simply watch how the suppliers prices are moving up down, kind of a thing. It is a time bound kind of a event. At a certain time, a certain point of a time only, you log in into the system and then you start playing with this, and at certain point of a time you will be exited out of that. So it's another example of automation in the negotiation in form of the ERFQ or
So,
e-bidding.
so Praveen, last but not least, I have one more question to you. So, is there any difference, or is there will be any difference between like SAP Ariba and AI technology, or all this would be the same?
So SAP is a SAP or Ariba. It's a the material management or the supply chain tool. Automation is helping these tools to enable and enhancing their capabilities further with bringing in more intelligence, bringing in, and of course, those intelligence is not a self-driven kind of a thing. These tools, this automation is just an algorithm. They are bringing in their algorithm and the softwares which will enable the available data to process it and present it in the form you desire. Well, it could be in the form of a report, it could be in the form of a dashboard, it could be in the form of a recommendation. So it depends on what is organization's objective to bring in this kind of a automation tool.
Nice. Okay. So once again, it is my immense pleasure to be thankful for you, and Praveen and Salesh, if you have any web link or any reference for our audience, for our participant, who can take benefit from that ready reckoner type of document to upgrade themselves, it will be really helpful for all of us. Please share.
Montu, we will prepare something and share with you, and probably then you can upload it on Procurement Wala website. Right now, there is no ready reckoner available, but we may look into that direction.
Thank you, Praveen and Salesh. Thanks to everybody for being with us, and have a nice day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Montu, and thanks everyone to give us the opportunity to, share some of our thoughts. I would say, I'm not the expert to this. I'm also in a nascent stage learning these kind of things. The way the organization is giving me the opportunity to handle such kind of discussions and negotiation. But Montu and the entire Procurement Wallet team, thanks for giving us the opportunity to present whatever we have learned so far and share our views with you guys. Thank you.
Super, Praveen. Thank you so much. Thank you once again to all of you.